Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Chicagoland Speedway for tonight's coverage of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 on RaceSpotTV. This evening's coverage is presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. I'm Justin Pritz, alongside me in the booth tonight is Davis Richards. Randy Chinneth will be doing the directing for tonight's action tonight. The pressure is on for these drivers. 6 weeks to go until the playoffs start for this season for the Espeed Contender Series. And for a lot of drivers, it's getting to where they need to win to get in, Davis.
You're absolutely right, Justin. It's win to get in for a lot of these drivers. Last week, we've seen an awesome race in New Hampshire. A little too many cautions as we'd like to expect, but we've seen an awesome ending to it, and I wouldn't expect anything less than the same here tonight.
That's for sure. Right now, with the standings, 6 drivers are locked into the playoffs right now. That is Sean Powell, Malik Ray, Scotty Reinshield, Brandon Hodder, Matt Kingsbury, and Everett F. Lane. But near the cut line, that's where the action is. 27 points separate 16th to 17th. That is Paul Bliss and James Hickson. This could be one of their best shots so far tonight because both of them looking to try and take advantage, in some cases, of track position for the ones outside the top 16 in the standings.
And this is the track to do it too. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of green flag runs here tonight, and a big factor we're going to have to watch is tire wear. I'm expecting anything from up to 50 to 60 laps green flag runs at a time, and these drivers are going to be holding on with everything they can. These tires are going to get really hot. They're going to be slipping and sliding around this 1.5 mile banked oval here at Chicagoland.
And now it's time to set up for your starting grid for tonight's action here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpotTV. Starting off in the front row tonight, it'll be 2 teammates, Perry Snelson and Doug Lemons from Express Race Motorsports, who will look to have a strong start. Then 2 fellow teammates follow them up just behind them. That will be Brad Neer and Keith Racing for Intensity Motorsports. Row number 3 features the Glove Box Racing Machines of Brent Keith and Timothy McQueen, followed by Kerry Allen Stewart and Timothy Logwood Jr. Rounding out the top 10 starting spots tonight will be Matt Kingsbury and John Verga, while Brad Patterson and Tim Marlowe are inside the first dozen. Harold Decker, one of the development drivers, will start 13th tonight alongside Abe Bowden. He'll start in front of a fellow development driver, Ken Cathurs and Doyle Lawrence. Malik Ray is going to have to work a far way through. Qualified 17th tonight. 18th spot was Mike Bruno. Scotty Reinshield in one of the Gen X racing trucks, falling behind his teammate in 19th, followed by James Story. Brandon Holders in 21st, followed by Greg Rita. In P number 23 tonight is Bobby Everhart and Doc Stout, James Hickson, Marshall Berry, Sean Powell, Damian Plosmanger in 25th through 28th, while Craig White, Ryan Lange in the top 30. Final spots are Hayes, Lane, and Bliss. 33 trucks. And with this track tonight, 88 degrees is the track temp, 81 degrees air, fairly windy with towards the southwest, 7 miles per hour. This is still potentially a challenging race with a lot of strategy that can happen tonight.
You're absolutely right there, Justin. And a driver to watch on, that's going to be Malik Ray in that number 20 machine, starting the 17th position. We watched him last week, started in the back of the pack, was able to fight his way up towards the front. It took him a little bit, but he was still able to get there without any damage on that mile-long track. But hey, that pace car is coming into turn 3 and 4. And if you're not excited now, well, you better be, because they're about to send these bad boys off.
Now it's time to see how these guys send this off. 133 laps of action here tonight, here on RaceSpotTV. We're glad you can join us. Perry Snelson and Doug Lemons will lead them to the green flag as they head down the front stretch here at Chicagoland Speedway. We're underway for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpot.
Side by side for the lead going into turn 1 is the number 6 machine of Perry Snelson and the 70 of Doug Lemons. See Doug Lemons on that high side. The 9 of Brad Neer didn't have the 9 he wanted to last week, but he's still battling for that lead. As you see the number 6 machine drop up high to block the number 70. We're going to have to see how that fares as they head off into turn 3 and 4.
And you can see Snelson trying to move down in front of Brad Neer. Just can't hold the line as he slips up the racetrack as Neer's going to go underneath. Caution flag is out though. It's in turn number 3 and 4. It's a massive pileup. Abe Bowden's around, James Torrey's around, multiple drivers through the grass.
And that all started on the exit of turn 4, as there's multiple drivers involved in that one.
Yeah, you're looking now at your AMSOIL instant replay. It looks like it started off with Bowden potentially going sideways there, and just Torrey ends up collecting a few others. Just a bunch of bad luck situations there throughout the field, as you'll see.
Yeah, it is. I'm taking a look at it right here myself. It looks like they were 3 wide right there, and just a hard thing of drivers fighting for position a little too early, and it came back and took some good drivers out of this thing.
Abe Bowden's already moved his machine back into the garage area. You see some of that 3 wide racing that led to the contact in 3 and 4. Already, caution is out coming to lap number 2. And that was very quick. I was not expecting to be that quick, I'll say the very least with that, but that can mix up a bit of strategy. 2 stoppers still regardless either way, Davis, for this race.
Yeah, and it looked like that 77 machine right there, he just ran out of grip on the exit of the corner and checked up and then just came up high. Unfortunate set of circumstances, but yeah, you're right. Still a 2-stop race we have here tonight. I don't think we're going to see anyone go in to get 4 tires and some fuel, other than the drivers that maybe had damage or at the end of the longest line. But still, like you said, strategy, we're gonna have to keep an eye on it. I still expect us to get some long green flag runs in here tonight. Once these drivers get separated after the first 5 or 6 laps, you'll really see some hard racing and that strategy start to kick in.
Real quick, we'd like to apologize for the momentary black screen you might have seen just prior to the drop of the green flag during the grid. We apologize for that slight technical issue. But of course, here in tonight's AMSOIL Chi-Town 200, there's still drivers that are trying to have a lot to race for at stake. Perry Snelson, he's came into tonight 21st in the standings, right now 49 points back. This, if he can find a way to keep his truck up front, for example, with his track position, he might be able to, if he is able to come away with a potential victory tonight, be able to punch his way into the chase, especially since just 6 drivers have done so via win so far.
Yeah, he could, but we've got a long race ahead of us, and he's going to have to keep that truck clean. On that restart, I didn't really like the restart he got on that. He's going to have to try to shake things up here. I think if that would have went green, he probably would have got passed by, especially the number 70 and the number 9 of Brad Neer.
You can see them now starting to line up double file as the pace lights are off on the pace car here at Chicagoland Speedway. We'll restart for lap number 5. Snelson and Neer will be in P1 and P2 respectively. Doug Lemons and Brent Keefe are in 3rd and 4th spots, while Keefe Stewart rounds out the top 5. Matt Kingsbury's been able to move himself, meanwhile, up to P number 6, already +3 prior to the drop of the caution flag as they came down the front stretch. We'll see who's able to get a good restart once again here. We'll see if Snelson can have a much better restart here, as he'll follow along the pace car. Lots of drivers trying to take advantage of track position early. Pace car's about to drop off the track here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. Why don't we try this again as Snelson's off and away. We're back under green here from Chicagoland. And Davis, that was a much better start, it looks there from Perry Snelson.
It was. I think he heard me right there and says, hey, watch this. He's got about a 3 truck length advantage. See him drift high a little bit, trying to save those tires as much as he can on that exit line. But that 70 of Doug Lemons, he's coming hard as he comes into turn 3. You see him right on the bottom there. He's going to be able to clear him on the exit. He's not going to pull up in front of him quite yet. But yeah, look at the number 6 of Perry Snelson, using that high line, saving those tires for when it counts. Now we're going to have to watch the 70 of Doug Lemons, see if he burns his tires out too fast or if he's going to be able to grab that lead and then maintain them over the course of this run. And
we are underway for lap number 6 here at Chicagoland, of course, with this track. As everyone started already single file, a couple drivers took advantage of spots. Brad Neer fell back to 3rd, Keefe Stewart up to 4th. It's really a track where you have to stick to the bottom for much of the run while trying to maintain those tires, as you said, to try and gain track position as Kingsbury moves himself up to the top 5.
You're right, as you see the 21 machine go past that 32 machine of Brent Keefe. and now he's going to set his sights on the 7 of Keith Stewart. But yeah, you're right, they're going to let off the gas right before the corner, and then you want to get back in it as quick as possible while still maintaining as much speed and momentum as you can without burning those tires up. And that's what we're watching right here, the 6 of Perry Snelson do. He's saving those tires, going to see he can't fall too far back or it's definitely going to cost him in the longer run, but I'm definitely watching him right now, and he's definitely saving those tires as much as he possibly can.
Oh, look at this. He's already underneath Brad Neer here. This is again for P number 2. Has to back off, though. Tucks back into line. But look at the run Keith Stewart got for the split second. Just had to back off. But some drivers are not trying to save. They're trying to move their way and cut their way up through the field. Kingsbury now looks like he's going to try and position himself to make the pass for P number 4. Goes underneath, down to the apron once again, which is one of the faster ways to get around Chicagoland down the front stretch. And he'll try and get the pass done to get up to P number 4 on the exit at turn number 2 as he does so here.
He is, but he's not going to be able to quite clear him as he tries to clear the 7. He thinks twice about it and goes back down to that bottom line. But yeah, watch him cut down onto that tri-oval. But they've got to be careful, especially once you get to about lap 20, 25 on a green flag run. You can really mess your exit up going into turn 1 and 2, and it can cost you, and it just sucks you into that outside wall if you're not careful.
And Kingsbury finally able to make the pass done. And yeah, that's a potential risk for sure. You don't want to end up damaging the truck and hitting the wall, because that's how, for a lot of drivers in warm-ups tonight, ended up sliding down the racetrack and wrecking their machines. You don't want to be that truck that does so.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to. It's a long race. You got to have all fenders attached here at the end of it to win it. So we're just going to have to pay attention. But you see about almost all of the drivers are using that tri-oval except for the number 7 of Keith Stewart.
Yeah, Keith Stewart's not been ducking down there, maybe trying to save tires a little bit that way. He's now falling backwards towards Brent Keith, who tucks out of line a little bit. Maybe thought about trying to make the move into turn 3, is going to be more patient with it, as everyone's really just keeping a nice, calm line for the most part. Everyone really single file through much of the field, to be honest, right now. All the way back to Doyle Rance in P18, battling with Harold Decker 3 wide with Paul Bliss. That's a little bit hairy there as Paul Bliss backs out of that situation. But for the most part, everyone's just trying to get into a rhythm and try and keep up their strategy. Trouble down the backstretch. Matt Kingsbury slides to the grass. Able to save it, but that's going to move him all the way back to that 3 wide battle area. What a save. Look at the AMSOIL instant replay.
And he actually gets into that outside wall on the backstretch. That's just a factor of just hitting it too hard, getting on that gas way too soon, and then causing that truck to spin around after he makes contact with the outside wall. He's got some pretty big damage. It looks like that right fender is pushed in a bit. We're going to have to see how that affects him. But that is definitely not what he wanted, especially on lap 12.
Yeah, that moves him all the way from 5th to 21st. He's now going to fall back to 22nd as Marshall Berry makes the pass on the inside. But at this kind of a track, it can really hurt you with damage here, especially aerodynamically at this point. Everyone really just trying to continue up the rhythm, though, there, as something happened, I think, maybe to Doug Lemons, because he was up in the lead, remember, by about 3 truck lengths. He just fell back all the way to 8th in the past couple of laps around the time of replay. So Doug Lemons, bad luck case scenario, I think, for him.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now as we got the replay up for you. It looks like
it just looks like a technical issue. It ended up moving him all the way back from 1st by about 4 truck lengths up, all the way back to 7th. Just, I don't know what to really say involving that. With Doug Lemons, that lost him a ton of track position.
Well, if there's any bright side to that, it's lucky it didn't actually kick him out of the race. When I'm assuming that he probably lost connection there for a brief second. And luckily it didn't kick him out, but instead it just pushed him back there.
And now the leader is Brad Neer. This changes a little bit of some of the strategy maybe for Perry Snelson, is he's moved up to P2 now. Keith Stewart P3, Brent Keith P4. So now the lead group has really closed things up now after that situation. Everyone just maybe saving to try and save tires a little bit. But Brad Patterson, along with Kerry Allen Stewart, looks like they're not trying to save. They're trying to battle and try and keep a spot in the top 5.
It is, and I wonder what that 9 of Brad Neer is thinking right now. I wonder if he even knows that he's in the lead, or if he just looked down there at his dash and was like, holy crap, I'm in the lead. But we got a battle for the lead with that number 6 of Perry Snelson trying to get on that inside of the number 9. He's right on his quarter panels. They're halfway down the backstretch going into turn 3. Gonna have to see if he's able to clear him here. That 9 using that high side. That 6 is just gonna roll up just a tad, roll out of that gas and get back in it as quick as possible and try to make that pass as he's gonna go down here on the apron on the tri-oval. You have to pay attention, and he just proved me wrong as he did not, but he's still battling him pretty hard. But he better watch out, because that 7 of Keith Stewart and that 32 of Brett Keith has got a rocket machine under his hood.
And speaking of rocket, Perry Snelson almost rocketed up to the wall, just avoided contact down on the exit of turn number 2. So he rockets its way up to the lead after outbraking Brad Neer to turn 1 and rocketing his way through turn number 2.
This is just a factor of tight racing conditions. These trucks are getting very tight as I'm watching them out here, and they're having a bunch of trouble, specifically with the exits of the corner, as they're just trying to get as much speed as possible and trying to get on that gas just a little too soon, and they're having to avoid that outside wall. But you can tell these drivers are having a tough time out here tonight in these weather conditions.
Yeah, the track temp at the drop of the green flag was about 88 degrees. It's up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit since the drop of the green flag, a drastic change in the span of about a few laps. Just went up to 94 just before I finished the sentence. That's going to make things very much slicker on the racetrack as Brent Keith, trying to make the pass for P number 3, tries to outbrake a little bit Keith Stewart through turn number 1. That'll leave them side by side down the backstretch.
And another factor too is with these drivers out here on the track completing green flag laps, is it's going to put a lot of rubber down on the track, and that's going to completely change these racing conditions, especially with this being open setup. A lot of these drivers are just hoping for a caution or that first green flag pit stop. That way they can go in, they can make some adjustments to their truck and get them as dialed in as possible.
And we're about 20 laps, into the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 on RaceSpotTV. With the potential to stop, when do you expect to see drivers go in? Do you expect some drivers to short pit? Do you expect them to try and stretch it to about lap 50 or try and go empty to about lap 60 and really try and hope and pray for a caution a little bit potentially?
Well, I don't really expect these drivers to start coming in about lap 40 or so. I don't know if they're going to be able to. I mean, they can too stop it with the amount of fuel they have, but with the tire wear and how much these drivers are losing, as I'm looking right now, it looks like the practice times was about 30.6, 30.7. The leader of the race, Perry Snelson, ran about a 32.3, so that's over a second and a half slower than their practice times and their hot laps.
Yeah. Times continue to slow on down as the run continues since the drop of the green flag. Caution flag is out. Caution flag has come out, and it's because of an incident in turn number 4. Craig White and Marshall Berry involved. And it looks like a secondary incident. 19 of Mike Bruno's around. Mike Bruno hits the wall in turn number 1. Let's look at the secondary incident first with the AMSOIL instant replay.
Looks like that was just a factor. He got on that tri-oval, was trying to pull it up to make that entry into turn 1 and just lost it. Luckily, he kept that machine off the wall. Very fortunate for him. But yeah, that was just a factor of that tri-oval, like we were talking about earlier in this race. That it happened about lap 20 or so, that it would really mess these drivers up on entry, and there you go.
And now look. Yeah, now looking at the initial incident involving Craig White along with Marshall Berry. You see that up on your screen as they end up going around in turn number 4 on the exit.
Yeah, it looks like on the entry of the corner of the 3 of Craig White, just not sure what happened there, but just gets into that 05 machine, and tough set of circumstances right there for those two drivers.
Very tough circumstances, and at this point, I think you expect everyone to pit. Now the question is, how are these trucks going to handle? Marshall Berry got out of that with minimal damage, just a little bit of damage on the left rear after what could have been much more. But for drivers like Mike Bruno, He might potentially have a lot of damage on his truck after smacking that wall in turn number 1.
I don't think he actually hit that wall, though. I could be wrong. I'm going to take a look at his truck right here. I don't see any damage on that machine. I really think he got lucky there, but it's definitely going to help drivers like Kingsbury that we've seen get some early damage with that outside wall. He's going to be able to get that machine fixed. He's actually having a lot of problems getting into his pit box, so that's just adding salt to the wound.
Yeah, everyone coming into the pits right now. Just a couple drivers trying to get their potential wave arounds as everyone's off and away. Leading them out will be Perry Snelson. Brad Neer comes out second. Stort third. Holder up to fourth. And Brent Keefe into the top 5. White will get an EOL along with Marshall Berry for the caution. But that's going to help out some drivers that lost a lot of time, like Doug Lemons, who was leading the race. Fell back to a spot. Keeps him now into a range where he can try and battle for the lead and try and get his lead right back in the top 10.
Not sure what happened there with the 20 of Malik Ray as he came in about the top 10 position, and then he just sat in his pit box. Maybe he just had to go crack him open a cold beer or something, but he definitely lost a lot of times. He did miss his pit box a bit, but he just kept there and sat on pit road after his service was done.
Looking at this here too, maybe he thought, I want to maybe have a bit of a challenge, went to the back, maybe trying to test himself at the back.
Yeah, well, he's got that kick-ass beef jerky machine, so that's what he's going to be trying to do here tonight.
Yeah, right now, trying to catch up to the back of the field. He is right now. He's going to be in P24 when the green flag drops here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpotTV. Once again, AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, is having a sponsorship deal for sponsoring races, 2 of currently 5 scheduled races for AMSOIL for the sponsorship deal with the Espeed Contender series. Very big to have a sponsor like that once again for this kind of a series.
It definitely is, and it does a lot for the iRacing community too, especially with a big sponsor like you said, like AMSOIL. It really does a lot for the community and gets a lot of other players involved that might not heard of iRacing before.
It absolutely does right now. And right now, Perry Snelson trying to make sure he gets himself up towards the front, tries to get a good run. He is in first spot, followed by Brad Neer in third spot right now. Keith Stort, he's had a strong truck. Brandon Holder, who started off the race in 21st, was battling before the caution flag for a spot in the top 10. He's up to P4 after pit stops, followed by Brent Keefe, Doug Lemons, Timothy Logwood Jr., Tim Marlowe's inside the top 10 in 8th spot, followed by Brad Patterson and Kerry Allen Stewart, rounding out the top 10. Sean Powell as well, who started 27th, who qualified with a 30.979 in a group that was separated by half a second from his spot to first, is just outside the top 10. A lot of drivers potentially having a very, very, very impressive drives right now tonight here, Davis.
They are, and it's only going to get better and better as we're on lap 27 of this race of 133 laps. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. We're going to get some more green flag runs, and I'm really interested to see how these trucks handle it. And I'm really interested to know what kind of adjustment these drivers made. I'm more than likely you had to loosen those machines up, as we've seen these drivers get really tight, especially on the exit of turn 2 and turn 4 and coming up and hitting that outside wall.
1 to go. They come through turns 3 and 4. Once again, Snelson will be the control truck for this green flag as we come to lap number 28 of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. Who can challenge Snelson as he's onto the gas, and we're off and away once again from Chicagoland. A beautiful start there for him.
It was, as you see him hop in front of that outside line in front of Brad Neer. Now you got the 7 of Keith Stewart sitting in that 3rd position. Look at Doug Lemons, that number 70 machine threads the needle coming off of turn number 2 as he gets by the number 5 machine and the number 32 machine of Brent Keith. Now he's going to set his sights on the number 7 of Keith Stewart, see if he can make that pass coming into turn 3 and 4. I don't think he's quite going to be able to clear him. He's going to try, but that number 7's just got a fender on him, and now he's going to put his sights on the 9 of Brad Neer.
And Doug Lemons with that Express Motorsports truck is saying, I want my lead back. He goes all the way to P number 2 in the span of a lap after the restart as he'll try and chase down Perry Snelson, who launched like a rocket to a 4-truck length lead already on the first lap and a half.
Wow, Doug Lemon's got one heck of a restart right there, and he's showing that too, sitting in that second position. Like you said, puts his sights on the 6 of Perry Snelson. He's going to be a factor to watch all night long. And we have to see what he can do here as he's going to try to reel in that leader of Perry Snelson.
Just, I think, about trying to time it on up. Takes turn number 1 deep. Keeps it at 175, 176. Slides up the track. Just hits the right mark. Closes up by about a truck length as the battle for P3 starts to shape up. Keith Stewart will make the pass now on Brad Neer to move himself up into the top 3.
Keith Stewart's going to be another truck to watch as well. You see him getting a lot of bad luck here in some of these races here, but he's having a good start to this race at Chicagoland, sitting in that 3rd position. Hopefully he can keep it going, and he can wind up here with the top 5 and might even be battling for that lead once we knock some green flag laps out.
Speaking for potentially battling for the lead, Doug Lemons has closed it down to 1 truck length. He's been much stronger in 1 and 2 compared to Perry Snelson for the start of this run on the fresh tires. He is closing and quick, just taking in the corners much deeper on entry and just able to keep up the speed faster in the 175 range.
Yeah, but how long is that going to last? Is he going to burn up his tires? And when does he say, hey, that's enough, backs it off, lets those tires cool down, and plays with the strategy game?
That time, he had to back off to 172. Maybe he thought exactly that. Maybe listened to you once again, Davis, as he kept it about the same distance and cooled it off a little bit. Now Brandon Holder, meanwhile, is now making the move at the same time for Brent Keefe to move himself up into the top 5. So Holder continuing to look pretty good with his truck. Meanwhile, last time on the green flag run after the restart, fastest lap was a 30.992, and took him until about lap 13 to head into the 32-second range when we were side by side. Decent pace from him after starting from the back.
It is really decent pace he's putting on here tonight, but look at that 70 of Doug Lemons just right on the back bumper of the number 6 of Perry Snelson. And the number 70 machine, he's driving those corners in a lot deeper while the 6 is kind of letting off on throttle, being really easy, getting back on the gas on the exit of the corners. He's just saving some tire wears, but I just got to think, is the 70 of Doug Lemons pushing too hard, too fast?
And look at this, he almost pushed himself into the left rear back end of Perry Snelson. As he'll make the move on his teammates, Snelson just lets him go. And Doug Lemons will take the lead. That was close. Trying to carry up the speed, almost gave him a shot so strong that he could have damaged the Perry Snelson and his own truck at the same time.
That would have not been the circumstances he would have wanted to do right here. Would have took himself out and his teammate, but hey, he keeps it going, grabs that lead. Now he's checked out to about a truck length advantage on the number 6 of Perry Snelson. Gonna see if he can keep it up, or is Perry Snelson gonna fight back? We've seen on the last run, Perry Snelson, he waited a little bit for that truck to come in, but when it did, he was able to climb back out to the front.
And now you can see them starting to spread out a little bit for the top 3 by about truck length and a half each. Brandon Holder, though, he's not being patient again himself, as we talked about a little bit. He thought about potentially going for a move on Brad Neer, backed off. Now trying to close back up onto Neer as the caution flag is back out on the racetrack, and it's in turn number 1 on the entry there for Timothy McQueen. And for McQueen, it looks like he might have flipped up in the air, as you will see on the AMSOIL instant replay. My goodness.
Ouch.
I think that's the first thought that might be in both of our heads here, Davis. Ouch indeed. Just looked like hard racing, got the run, and from what it looks like, just came up.
Well, it was just another factor of using that apron again to get that advantage of that low side, and he just came up. I just don't think he knew that driver was there going into the corner, and it just cost him and that other driver the race. I can't, in fact, see what number that was.
That was Doyle Lawrence there, the number 8 truck that was to his side. You see what the onboard with where the collision happened, thrown up towards the catch fence. His truck's going to be fairly damaged after that one, for obvious sakes. With that, everyone's going to pull into pit road here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. We are 37 laps through this race. We'll go into a commercial break. You're watching RaceSpotTV and the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 presented by AMSOIL.
Once again, photo finish here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick at the line.
Welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. The top 10, you might notice, is a little bit different because, guess what? 3 of the top 4, Doug Lemons, Brad Neer, and Keith Stewart, all overran their pit boxes at the same time. So that moves Snelson to the lead, Holder to second, and really shakes up the rest of the top 5 and 10.
It does, and we were talking about that earlier too with Keith Stewart. Just can't seem to find that consistent race and consistent speed all race long, but if he could put it together, man, he'd come out of here. He's got a really fast truck, so I have to pay attention, see if he can climb out back to the front.
Snelson will lead them down. Holder will be on the outside line as we restart on lap 41 of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. We're back underway for more Espeed Contender Series action. There's a strong start from Snelson there to be able to clear on by, but a close call there with Lane and Keith there for a split second.
Yeah, it looks like Frank Keith right there gave him the bumper and said, hey, get out of my way, I'm coming, I've got some spots to make up, and this is going to be an interesting look at the back, right where we see Doug Lemons in that 12th machine, as he's got a hornet's nest right in front of him, and then you see that number 21 machine too with Matt Kingsbury behind him. And look at the 70 of Doug Lemons, just sits back and says, hey, y'all have at it, I'll play some strategy here, I'll stay safe, I want to keep my fenders intact together. So I'm going to have to see how he's able to get past this little hornet's nest, like I said, or if he's just going to stay back and play some strategy to get back up front.
We'll have to see what he decides to do here. Doug Lemons all the way back to P number 12 right now. As Brandon Holder, he's ready to pounce on Perry Snelson. Gets underneath the left rear quarter panel, and he'll make the pass through turns 3 and 4, but can't get there in time as the caution's out. And it looks like it's down the backstretch, and guess what? Keith Stewart is one of the 2 trucks involved there after Gregory Thompson got loose down the backstretch.
Broadcaster's curse.
The AMSOIL instant replay's up on your screen now, but Keith Stewart, remember, he lost a lot of track position and chose to go to the back. His decision did not work out.
No, it didn't, and that's exactly what he was trying to avoid right there. Stay at the back of the pack, and oh man, just hits the driver, no place to go, tries to avoid him. And man, that's just what I'm saying, just a bunch of tough luck we've seen with that number 7 machine of Keith Stewart, and bad set of circumstances right there, and that's going to end his night. And
when it comes to Thompson, it looks like it started all the way through the apex of turn 1 and 2, heading all the way through the apron. That led him all the way up to the track that you see all the way in front of the middle of the groove. Just wrong place, wrong time. Caution flag comes out here on the speedway here at Chicagoland.
And that's got to be frustrating too for that number 7 machine of Keith Stewart. You know, he's got to be blowing steam out of that helmet. He's had tough setup circumstances, had a very fast truck, tried to go to the back to avoid the wreck, and man, just nowhere to go right there, and ended up costing him the race.
Yeah, that truck's going to have a lot of repairs. Someone who might also have some smoke coming out of their helmet, a slight touch, Brandon Holder. Remember, he was side by side in turn number 3, and since there were scoring loops across the racetrack, Perry Snelson just beat him to the scoring loop that kept him in the lead at the time of the caution flag. So Holder will move to 2nd now. Logwood Jr. got up to 3rd, Keith 4th, Powell to P number 5.
Yeah, definitely frustrating for him, but look at that paint job on that number 5 machine of that pitboxes.com Chevrolet. He's got a metallic silver paint scheme going on. It looks pretty sharp here going by. I really like what he's doing. And it looks like we cannot get that feed for you, as we'll just use the hashtag blame Randy for that one.
Everyone's favorite hashtag. But with that, we'll be back in just a few moments. You're watching the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpotTV, presented by AMSOIL.
Going green. Green, green, green.
Welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV for more coverage of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Apologies for missing the quick restart due to minor technical issues, but we are back underway here for lap 48 of action. Perry Snelson trying to hold off Brandon Holder as they go down the backstretch, trying to battle for the lead, going into turn number 3.
We already see that number 5 machine with that metallic paint scheme going on. Going to take that machine straight to the lead as he gets past the number 6 of Perry Snelson. Uses that low line on the exit of turn 4, clears them without any trouble at all. Now I'm going to have to see if he can check out on that machine. But we've seen with that 6 of Perry Snelson, doesn't get that great of restarts. It takes him a couple laps to get that machine warmed up. But when he does, man, he's a rocket ship. But right now, that 5 of Brandon Holder, he's got that thing set on cruise control.
Yeah, Holder last time by was 0.3 faster than Perry Snelson, able to make that pass and trying to keep the distance. Timmy Logwood Jr. gets a bit tight through 3 and 4. He's just going to move out of the way now of Brent Keefe and give up P number 3, it looks like, heading into turn number 1. Has to battle as hard as he can on the outside, but it's very difficult to do so, as Keefe should be able to clear him on the exit and does so.
And we've got about, and he actually hits the wall, the number 4 machine of Timmy Logwood Jr., but keeps that thing rolling. But look right there in front of the number 70 machine of Doug Lemons, as he has got a battle in front of him. He's on the low side of the 20 of Malik Ray. Haven't talked about him all night long, but he's got the 24 of Everett F. Lane, the 42 of Brad Patterson, and the 41 of Sean Powell, just fighting each other almost 3 wide going through the trial. Doug Lemons going to go through the middle. No, he thinks better of it. Tucks him behind that 24 of Everett F. Lane, still 3 wide with the 20 of Malik Ray and the 41 of Sean Powell stuck in the middle. He checks up the 70 of Doug Lemons, has to get on the bottom as he's coming into turn 3.
Yet this is now the second time in 3 laps they have gone 3 wide, all in that grouping, all just inside the top 10 or just outside the top 10. Everett F. Lane and Brad Patterson now escape. Malik Ray and Doug Lemons will ride alongside the apron. Sean Powell's just going to say, you know what? I'm going to stay out of trouble, and moves back to P number 11 as Lemons and Ray try and battle a little bit. Ray uses the higher line, Lemons the lower line, but can't make the move quite yet as Lane's going to make the pass at the same time on Patterson for 6th.
It is, and it looks like things are going to kind of ease out here, and I say that 70 of Doug Lemons right on the quarter panel of the 20 of Malik Ray, and look at that 85 of Paul Bliss. Goes high, goes low, can't figure out which lane he wants to go to. 70 of Doug Lemons uses that apron on the trial oval, but now you see him start to get single file as they take a little breather right there, but something had to give, or one of these drivers is going to find their way into the infield care center.
Yes, something had to give. Somebody had to say, let's be careful here and not burn up the tires. Ray and Lemons, though, are going to be side by side. Lemons makes the charge. Let's see if he can try and make the position. Lane made a pass at the same time right now, as everyone is really trying to go for themselves. Now 3 wide just about at one point for Ray alongside now Paul Bliss as he falls behind him.
He gets past that 20 machine of Malik Ray. Malik Ray almost hit that outside wall, had to check up. That's how the 85 got around it, but now he goes back to the low line and tries to get right back past that number 85 machine of Paul Bliss, and we go back to the lead. We've got a battle with the number 5 of Brandon Holder and the 6 of Perry Snelson. I told y'all, takes that number 6 machine a couple laps to get warmed up, but once he does, man, he has got a rocket ship as he uses the low line on the 5 of Brad Holder coming into turn 1 and 2.
And they are very close through each other through the apex of the corner. Pushing up his Holder. He gets the better run on the high side this time, as Snelson was right there. Went for the attack into turn number 3. had to back off. And now Brandon Holder for now is going to hang on. But as you said, that truck is very quick at times for Perry Snelson on the long run, and the mid-run really, I should say, as we have seen in this race tonight.
It is, and look at that 85 back there in that 7th position of Paul Bliss. We've seen some stints of speed out of that machine. Just kind of like Keith Stewart hasn't been able just to put a full race together yet, but if he can, man, he could grab him a win here before the end of this season as he climbs all the way up into that 6th position. No, it is the 7th, so apologies, 7th position, but now that 42 of Brad Patterson's going to have to deal with the 70 of Doug Lemons, and look who's lurking behind him, that 20 of Malik Ray. Ran a very cautious race, seeing him show some extensive of a little bit of aggression right there on that restart, but now he's just falling back, saving those tires. If he can get him about a 30-40 lap run, look for that 20 of Malik Ray to go up to the front.
Yeah, we have to watch for sure. Meanwhile, up near the front, Brent Keith going for the pass, trying to go side by side as Snelson will try and test out the high line. Can he try and defend well as they try and keep up with Brandon Holder? Everett F. Lane trying to take advantage of the side draft, but Brent Keith just not able to clear quite yet. Now will do so after late braking, but Lane goes underneath. So now Snelson is starting to drop back a little bit to Brandon Holder.
It is, and he's staying true to that high line as well. Just saving those tires, doing what he can. He's got that setup geared for that high line, but as I say that, as he takes the bottom of 3 and 4 and just throws that out the window. But that 24 to Everett F. Lane, look at him still battling there in that top 5 position. We'll have to see what he can do with that machine, as we've got some battles all over the track as Doug Lemons battles the number 4 of Timmy Logwood Jr.
Yeah, Logwood Jr.'s dropping back. He was up in P3 at the restart. He's all the way back in P9 now as Lemons just completed the pass. But as the run goes on, I should really say, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher to pass because of all the side drafting. And that helps the drivers not just in front pull away from you, but the ones to catch up to make all these intense battles here at Chicagoland.
It does. Is all these trucks are pretty even right here, and we almost had a wreck right there. It looked like one driver was coming out of pit road and onto that bottom line, and some drivers had to check up. But yeah, you're right about that side draft too. These drivers are using it to their advantage. It's able to slow that truck beside them up, and it's able to steal their line as well. And while they're battling, the drivers behind them are able to pounce on it and make a move.
And now moving up forward another spot, Doug Lemons. Paul Bliss is just going to let him go to move up to P number 6. Perry Snelson just bumped to the back of Brent Keith. Keith sideways through turn 1 and 2. Able to save it, but everyone has to hit the brakes as Keith bobbles up the racetrack, and he'll lose all the spots down the back stretch. Lane moves by, Lemons moves by, Brad Neer goes for the position to get up to P number 2 now, but Snelson tries to defend.
We're going to have to take a look at that replay to see what exactly happened on lap 61 going into 1 and 2.
We'll have to see once things calm down a little bit here on this. Perry Snelson's back to P number 3. Brad Neer, because of all this, just shot up to P number 2. Here is your AMSOIL instant replay on what exactly happened. You can see just about, as you can see, the running mark. This is right now only on a lap number 60. Keith is right now having a decent gap. Then Snelson, after the run through 3 and 4, from behind, closes on behind. He's back in P9 now. And you'll see as they enter 1 what exactly happened.
It looks like that 6 of Perry Snelson just gets into the back end. Other 32 of Brent Keith. But look at all the job the drivers do behind him, checking up, avoiding that 24 of Everett F. Lane. Almost had that thing sideways, avoiding him. With that number 32 did one heck of a job holding on to that machine. But it shot him all the way back into that 9th to 10th position, as he's going to have a real tough time getting back up to the front. Have to see if he holds any aggression out towards that number 6 of Perry Snelson. But honestly, it looked like just a racing deal, just drivers fighting for the same real estate. But man, with that little incident right there, that 5 of Brandon Holder is checked out to over a 2.5 lead over the number 6 of Perry Snelson. And another driver too, that up the number 70 of Doug Lemons, while they were checking up, he kept it in the throttle and made it all the way up to that 3rd position in front of the 9 of Brad Neer.
Yeah, that was absolutely unbelievable there. Neal, remember, went for the pass on Snelson, but Snelson got the position back. Lemons then got a pass back, as the replay was showing. And now Paul Bliss is into P number 5. And Malik Ray, who was playing conservative in the top 10, he's up to P number 6. So the gap is now 1.6 seconds to Brandon Holder up at the front of the field after what was a close call. As now everyone's now trying to chase down, get back into the rhythm, and try and see if there's any way they can close up on Holder.
It is at 32 with Brent Keith. I'm watching him right now. He's getting such a run on the entries of the corner. He's gunning for it. He might be a little PO'd under that helmet of his. He's going to be fighting back up towards the front to get that position back.
Look at the fight that might start to happen here against the teammates once again as Snelson and Lemons. They're closing in. Lemons is getting the runs off the corners better than Snelson at this point of the run. Last time by was the fastest truck, in fact, on the racetrack. So Snelson's just going to move up to the high side, let his teammate on by, save a little bit of tire wear, not battle real quickly because Lemons, remember, led some laps in the early portion of the race, has the fastest lap of the race. The question is, can he catch up to Holder? It's still a long ways to go, though. 1.88 seconds is now the gap.
Yeah, it is. We're going to have to pay close attention. We know that 70 machine has a very fast race truck, but can he get back up towards the front and battle the number 5 of Brandon Holder for the lead?
But hold on 1 second. Just a few moments ago, Brent Keith through turn 1 and 2 again, just had a bit of an adventure. Kingsbury joins the bump from behind club with that case. That moved him a bunch more spots back. So now Keith is back to P number 10 after gaining all those spots that he gained before, as you see here on the AMSOIL instant replay. Everyone's just getting the back of him tonight.
It is, and that does not make for a fun race.
Yeah, but I have to give it to him. He's been able to save it a lot on these cases to still not lose too much time and make sure he doesn't get loose.
Yeah, but he's been able to save that truck, but is he going to be able to save that temper?
Or those tires. That is more of a key thing than temper. Temper you can cool down. Tires, they stay weird forever.
You're right, they do, but you can cool those tires off a little bit, but you're right, once you use that tire wear, it's gone. And you know, with him almost losing it twice, he's had to heat those tires up, and he's been through a cycle already. So we're gonna have to see what he's able to do, if he has enough tire wear to get back up, or if he's hoping for a caution. That way he can go get 4 fresh Goodyears back on that machine.
And right now we're on lap 61 of this 133 lap race here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. Currently leading is Brandon Holder. Drivers that are starting to reach some of the traffic. Gregory Thompson is one of the drivers that are starting to work around, also working around other traffic, including James Torrey. How is it for these drivers for when they're going to have to manage their way through traffic to make sure they're not held up, make sure they keep the trucks clean?
Yeah, and that could play a big factor in tonight's race, and that could give the number 70 of Doug Lemons an advantage to get back up to that 5 of Brandon Holder. But you're going to be fighting pretty hard to stay on that lead lap. But once that 5 of Brandon Holder passes you, then you just kind of let the other drivers go. So that's going to work in the advantage of Doug Lemons, but not going to be very helpful for that 5 of Brandon Holder.
A lot of the lap trucks are spaced out. That's the positive for a lot of the lead lap drivers. 26, 27, 28 are spaced out by at least 3 truck lengths or more. It's when they reach the 21st through 25th spots on the racetrack right now, including Mike Bruno, who had troubles early on, Brian Lange, Tyler Hayes. That's where it's going to be an absolute log jam to get through all those drivers all bunched up on the track.
Yeah, but I think by the time that the leader of the 5 of Brandon Holder reaches that, we're going to be going under green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we're currently on lap 72 here at Chicagoland Speedway. Laps continue to tick on by. Holder now holding on to a 2-second lead just underneath. He's setting fastest lap after fastest lap on the racetrack for much of the way around at this point, with the way some of the drivers are having to manage traffic and having to deal with side draft that's holding up a little bit on their exits. So he's trying to capitalize on his truck. Remember, this team is coming into this week with a brand new alliance for Intensity America Motorsports with Intensity Motorsports. That's Brandon Holder's team, America Motorsports. Brad Neal's the owner of Intensity Motorsports. So all 6 trucks are working together to try and get themselves into a position for the playoffs and the chase to try and get both of them at peak performance. All of them, I should say.
It's a pretty smart move, get some alliance work together, but look at that 20 of Malik Gray climbs up into that 3rd position past the 9 of Brad Neer, but Brad Neer says wait a minute, does the crossover going into turn 3 and 4, clears the number 20 of Malik Gray, but that 20 machine has ran a very consistent race all race long. As I say that, he's right on that rear bumper of the 9 of Brad Neer, almost gives him a bump. The 9 almost gets him that outside wall, and they're still battling going through the tri-oval.
Side by side, going down the front stretch here on lap 75. As Ray outbrakes Neer going into turn number 1. We'll try and ride the bottom side. Neer's going to tuck up behind and try and go for another crossover. Gets a huge run on the exit, but doesn't take it anywhere quite yet. He's going to give a shot to Ray as they head into turn number 3.
Looks like we got some animosity. Wow, all right. Looks like we've got some aggression
Randy
right there
checking
built
into the
up with
broadcast. That's good old
two-
Texas A&M.
Looks like we got some aggression built up with these 2 drivers. If you just heard Randy just giving a shout out right there. It wasn't like the birthday shout out I received last week, but that 20 of Malik Ray gets past the 9 of Brad Neer. It looks like the 9's got a bit more exit speed than the 20 machine, but that 20 really sells on that entry of the corners.
Thank you very much, Randy. Hashtag Blame Randy Chenna doing producing for tonight's race. As Ray now looks like he might for now have that spot safe for now. But look who's starting to drop some spots. Perry Snelson has now just dropped to P number 6, so his truck is starting to fall off a little bit.
It is, as I was actually looking at Randy's text he sent down there, but you're right, that number 6 of Perry Snelson falling all the way back to the 6th position. Really did not expect that out of this machine. Really thought he had the long run setup tuned in, but that 21 of Matt Kingsbury's done a nice job of battling back after that contact with the outside wall early in the race.
Yeah, that's been a good, decent recovery from hitting the wall early on in the race. Remember, Kingsbury saved it down the backstretch to be able to keep his race going and kept it green. Just a slight amount of damage on the right front of his truck. He'll get a run a bit on Snelson. Snelson shuts the door. Just can't make the move quite yet. This is going to allow Logwood Jr. to pull away a little bit, at least into the entry, where Logwood Jr. is now faster on the straightaways and exits. As there's Kingsbury able to make the pass on Snelson. He's now ready to make the pounce now on Logwood Jr.
He is, and Snelson just looks like he's burned up those right rear tires and right front tires on that machine, and it's just really costing him right now. As I'd expect him to be one of the first cars to go down pit road to get those 4 fresh tires and try to short this race. But hey, we're at any lap, these drivers we could start seeing drivers going down pit road, but do you risk it and do you avoid, and what if a caution comes out? That could completely end your race, or if you short pit, it could grab you the race win.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential strategies that you got to think about for sure here, Davis. We have had one truck pull down. It was the one that was a lap down, Bobby Everhart, who would have to run the full length of the run, total about 63 laps-ish, which would be really trying to stretch fuel in the first place. But remember, he's now going to be at least a lap down by the time they cycle on through. But now, as these trucks continue to wind down, the fuel window is starting to close on in for the lead trucks, which, as you said, could make or break this race.
It could, Justin, but also with as hard as these drivers are fighting, I'd be really surprised if we see this thing go green throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, there's already been a couple close calls, I'll say that, with James Hickson, as he's been trying to be passed along through with lap traffic, where a couple close situations have happened. A few close battles are happening on the racetrack. Brad Neer and Malik Gray have been nearly attached to the hip. Matt Kingsbury just behind them just dived underneath Timmy Logwood Jr. to take away P number 5 meanwhile. So everyone's trying to continue their own race their own race, and try and keep up the pace, especially since Holder's still holding on to a 2.1 second lead.
It is. He's running about a 32.6, but that 70 of Doug Lemons just ran a 32.5. Malik Gray running at 32.5 as well, as Brandon Holder's starting to slow down just a little bit, but he's got about a 2.2 second lead, so he's got some room to slow down there and manage those tires.
And Snelson's got some trouble because he just lost 2 more spots, potentially could lose even more so, as now Paul Bliss is ready to make the move on him. You gotta wonder, what kind of adjustment can Snelson make if he decides to try and turn his truck to be much better for the long run like it was on the mid-run?
Yeah, he's going to take some pounds of wedge out of that machine, maybe play with the tire pressure just a bit, try and free that truck up and get that grip. But now, man, he's just got to be hoping. Oh, and there's a wreck right in front of him and beside him. As that was really close, as we're going to have a caution.
Caution flags out through the grass. Sean Powell, Paul Bliss running. John Fergus spinning out right in front of James Hickson, who misses him. 3 trucks at least are involved in this one as you'll look at the AMSOIL instant replay.
48 machine of John Berga, he had fresher tires and he just tried to make it 3 wide right there and just stuck it where it shouldn't have came in, and looked like the Perry Snelson got a little tight there, made the 48 jump and just caused a big wreck behind him.
Absolutely unbelievable, and you did say there could be an air caution, and Doyle Lorenz, one of the drivers also involved, as you see, is there. And now everyone can at least make it on fuel from here on out after that one.
Wow, that just affected a bunch of drivers, including that 41 machine of, if I can find the name, Sean Powell too. Seen a lot of speed out of him this season, and man, that's just going to completely ruin his race, along with the 85 of Paul Bliss. Seen some short stints of speed out of him throughout the race, and the number 8 machine as well.
Yeah, now it's your AMSOIL instant replay. AMSOIL the first in synthetics. The AMSOIL truck for Gen X Racing, Sean Powell, as you mentioned, involved. Front bumper completely demolished on his machine. Paul Bliss, same situation in the Adam Petty tribute machine, sponsored by Chris Fix, as they'll both, and everyone, of course, coming into the pits. And we had trouble on the pit entry. Scotty Reinschild went into the grass, locking it up to slow down. So that was interesting there, and that held up a few drivers trying to make sure they didn't get black flags on the entry.
It did. We still got action all over this racetrack, but that 6 of Perry Snelson, that's the caution he wanted to see, but he actually misses his pit box right there, but he gets it back into that stall. He wanted to see a caution, but I don't think he wanted to see a caution that close to him.
Yeah, you see the AMSOIL instant replay where
he's still having problems getting that machine stopped and getting that pit box.
Yeah, you see how much wind in the grass. Perry Snelson is still trying to get himself in the pit box, back and forth. Meanwhile, in live action, we are back live to see he finally is up on the jacks, it appears, and trying to get some repairs because he got a huge amount of damage on the right rear of his machine, so he'll go all the way to the back.
He will. That damage on the rear machine isn't going to affect him too bad, but that little problem there with pit road is definitely going to hurt him.
Yeah, and a lot of trucks feeling the hurt from incidents here. Snelson finally out and away, just in front of Ken Cathurs. Snelson was P number 9 at the time of his time in the pit box. But this, again, helps everyone get to the finish at the very least. And as well, closes the gap back up for to Brandon Holder. It will help drivers like Malik Ray, who, take a guess, he's in second. Doug Lemons will be third on the racetrack, Brad Near fourth, Brent Keefe in fifth. Matt Kingsbury, after some troubles early on, is up to P number 6. Along with Timmy Logwood Jr., Everett F. Lane, Brad Patterson, Harold Decker round out the top 10 after a caution flag. We're on lap 87 of 133 laps here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpotTV. And Davis, what does that do for the rest of the way now? Everyone can make it on fuel, but for the tire management, how does this really affect a lot of the drivers?
Well, what's that saying about cautions breeding cautions? I think that's not the last cautions we've seen here tonight, especially with these drivers bunched up. Now in their minds they're thinking, hey, that could have been the last caution. I've got to gun it here, and I've got to gun it in a hurry. I've got to get in my position, and I got to get in a comfortable spot where I can ride this race out. But little they know, well, I'm sure they do know, but that's going to cause even more cautions. You're going to see a lot of drivers battling even harder with each other. So I did not think that was the last caution here tonight. If they go about anywhere from 10 to 15 laps on a green flag run, you'll see pretty much the whole field go in for 4 new tires.
And we're 1 to go here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 for the restart. Brandon Holder once again will lead them off, followed by Malik Ray, Doug Lemons, Brad Neer, Brent Keith. As we approach down towards 50 to go and less than that in the next few moments here, who do you feel is your favorite?
Man, you just really got to like that 70 machine of Doug Lemons. I know the 5 of Brandon Holder's in the lead. The 20 Malik Ray's been very consistent. But with that short run speed we've seen from that 70 machine and those restarts he's able to get, it's hard to bet against him. If he grabs that lead, watch out, because he is going to be hard getting right past him.
Doug Lemons still has the fastest lap of the race. That's a 30.843. Second fastest, Brandon Holder, the only 2 drivers in the top 5 in the 38 range. So Holder on the inside, Ray on the outside as the pace car exits turn number 4. Holder waits for the green flag. He's off and away in the restart zone. We're back on our way for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200.
And the 5 of Brandon Holder got the perfect restart, got a jump on the 20 and the 70 machine. Now Malik Ray and Doug Lemons are going to battle it into turn 1 and 2. You see how the 70 of Doug Lemons, we've watched him all night long, just get that run on that bottom side. It's going to clear the 20. The 20 of Malik Ray is going to try to go up high. The 70 almost went to block, but he thought better of it, and that 20 let off the gas. But look at the back of the 21 of Matt Kingsbury and the 24 of Trevor F. Lane.
Brad Neer bumped into the Ray and almost went off the racetrack, went down to the apron, just able to save it. That was close there. As we stay green, we stay safe. As Everett F. Lane tries to tuck back in, looks to maybe capitalize as he gets the back end. Now the caution flag comes out, this time for a different incident, and it's 1 down and 1 on the front stretch. And it looks like Sean Powell might have been involved in this one, along with maybe John Verga here. Nope, just Sean Powell on his own, as you'll see in the AMSOIL instant replay. Apologies. It just looked like the South just lost control of that truck and through turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, it did. Might have actually kind of had contact there with that number 19 machine. Well, no, I think I was mistaken right there. But yeah, just looks like just some hard racing right there between the drivers. And that 70 of Doug Lemons, so that caution wouldn't have came out, we would have had a battle there with the 5 of Brandon Holder, because that 70 of Doug Lemons was right on his rear bumper.
He definitely was starting to close on up here, as Holder still has the lead. Doug Lemons up to second, Ray to third, Neer in fourth, Lane in fifth. As we'll see if there's anyone who bites for a pit stop. Just a couple laps was the run. Tire difference would be maybe about a 10th or 2 a lap compared to fresher tires. Looks like a majority of the field will do the smart move and keep their track position. With that, we'll be back in just a few moments here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 on RaceSpotTV. You're watching RaceSpotTV for tonight's coverage presented by AMSOIL.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
Welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV for more coverage of the Espeed Contender Series. As Brandon Holder continues to lead, Doug Lemons on the outside as we head for the restart here for lap 95 of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. We're back underway with another good restart from Brandon Holder, but an even better one from Malik Ray.
You're ready to see the number 20 machine of Malik Ray gets on the low side of the 70 of Doug Lemons, makes that pass, now sets his eyes, sets his truck set on that 5 of Brandon Holder.
And now Ray trying to maybe time something up. Didn't get the run he needed on the exit. Doug Lemons will take advantage into turn number 3 and try and get the position on back, and does so. Doug Lemons digs hard and gets up to P number 2, pardon me, as he'll try and go all the way to the bottom of the apron and try and get on the back of Holder.
And he's right on his rear bumper as they come into turn 1 and 2. Use that low line, seeing how he's able to utilize that low line on these restarts. And that 5 of Brandon Holder, that was the last thing you could have done, was let the 70 of Doug Lemons get that low line. And that 70 gets a bump from the 20 of Malik Ray.
Very tight up at the front. Doug Lemons slides up the track a bit, pushes Brandon Holder up the racetrack as Lemons will take the lead, but Ray's going to get underneath the Doug Lemons as Lemons will lead out the stripe, pardon me, but Ray does have the position to make the pass as he's on the inside of turn 1. Can he get the job done is the question on the exit. They slide up, Ray gets loose, he has to back out of the gas.
He does, and we've seen the same exact scenario last week at New Hampshire. And look at that 24 machine of Everett F. Lane just lurking back, waiting for these drivers to make a move or to mess up. As now they get single file. We've still got about 33, 36 laps here to go. So there's still a lot of racing to go, but these drivers are acting like it's the last lap.
Yeah, showing the movers and shakers for the race today. A lot of drivers have started off near the back today. Up at the front, Ray was 17th. Holder started 21st. Everett F. Lane, who's in 4th spot behind all of this, started in 3 seconds, second to last. So a lot of the drivers who started near the rear of the field are up into the top 5. Look at the big movers so as well, like Tyler Hayes inside the top 15. Marshall Berry, who's recovered from cautions as well.
That 5 of Brandon Holder's all over the back of the 20 Malik Ray. The 20 Malik Ray actually threw a block on that 5 machine. I'm not sure how he liked that too much, as you still see him trying to pounce, try to utilize that low line on the 20 Malik Ray. Can he get beside him as they go into turn 3 and 4?
Underneath goes Holder, trying to make the move. Let's see, he's able to do so. So Brandon Holder takes back P number 2. Question is, when will Ray try to pounce? He won't go to the apron this time, as Everett F. Lane tries to dig. Ray will try and use that advantage, a slight touch, to try and get the run to turn 1, but can't do so. So Malik Ray will fall back now to Everett F. Lane in the Z1 dashboard truck.
And yeah, I was watching that pass right there. When the 5 of Brandon Holder got past the 20 of Malik Ray, he knew the 20 Malik Ray was going to try to cut in and cut beside him. So he actually took, instead of going to the outside wall, he cut it in real deep onto the inside and onto that apron. It cost him some exit speed, but he was able to keep that 20 Malik Ray from crossing over on him.
Good move. Also good move and good speed from Everett F. Lane to get back up to P number 3. He's now trying to set his eyes now on Brandon Holder. And it's been a night of adjustments for Everett F. Lane. At times during practice had a loose truck. Was the last qualifying time at a 33.731 after having some trouble in his qualifying. That was 2 seconds off to the next truck above. He's been able to adjust his setup to where it's now to where he can contend here in the last moments of this race, coming now to just 21 laps to go next time.
It is, and it's paying off for him right now as you see him go low on the number 5 machine of Brandon Holder. And Doug Lemons, I don't know if I think he's just saving some tire wear right there, as he's still been able to maintain about half a second lead over second place. Man, look how easy the 24 Everett F. Lane makes it look as he gets past the 5 of Brandon Holder.
Pardon me, 31 laps to go as Everett F. Lane's able to make the pass into P number 3 into the spot for now. Question is, what's going to happen here? Doug Lemons, though, now has clean air, has a 0.4 of a second lead, and he's been trying to get back to there since the drop of the green flag after leading some of the early laps, then drop back to P8. has been marred in traffic much of the way, and now the number 70 just trying to make sure he doesn't feel the pressure of Everett F. Lane in that 24.
When you say drop back, he literally teleported to the back early in this race, but has been able to make his way back up to the front. But he's about to have to deal with that number 24 at Everett F. Lane, as Doug Lemons just ran a 30.833. Everett F. Lane ran a 31.738. So Doug Lemons about a tenth slower than that 24 machine.
And continuing to dig on through. The gap right now is 0.3 of a second, about 3 truck lanes, as Lane down the straightaways is closing about, at this current rate, about 0.02 of a second at the very least per straightaway, and able to just gain whatever time lost in the apex, it seems, on the exit for the most part of the racetrack. So Lane's causing some pressure here. It really starts to put up the question is, again, how do you know how this is going to be, if it's a short run truck or is it set up for the long run? A lot can still factor in for Lane.
Yeah, it can, and we just got to watch him right here and see what he's able to do. And as these laps tinker down, we're going to have to find out what he can do with that machine, and if he can stay to him on this longer run, as you see him actually get loose right there and almost spins her out.
I mentioned there that Lane does have his truck around this point. It was on his runs around 10 laps or so that his truck starts to get a little bit loose on exit. So that might be something to watch here if he adjusted to get it to that loose condition to try and be able to hug that bottom line. A lot can still happen, that is the thing. Ray's currently in the 4th spot, meanwhile 5th is Kingsbury, Muir is in the 6th spot, followed by Brent Keith. And then there's a bunch of shuffling because Brad Patterson, Perry Snelson, Timmy Longwood Jr., 8th through 10th is starting to get really bunched up on the racetrack, as you see in the backdrop.
They are, as we're going to have to pay close attention to that. But back to the loose racing conditions, too, for that 24.
Hold on 1 second. John Virga's in the grass. John Virga's running through the tri-oval grass and stays out of the way. So that zero-gravity racing truck able to keep out of trouble in terms of coming up the racetrack. Let's look at the AMSOIL instant replay to see what just happened with John Virga.
Yeah, it looks like he just got really tied off the exit of 4, smacks the wall, and just does a little bit of maintenance there on that infield grass.
Well, the groundskeepers are not going to enjoy putting some extra sod after that run right through the center of the tri-oval grass for the most part, as that was your AMSOIL instant replay presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. But getting back to things here, everyone really starting to get into the rhythm, starting to bunch on up as some of the drivers. Now that 6th through 10th group is starting to really close on in. Lane's trying to still focus on him because with the looser truck, he's now dropped from 3/10 back to 8/10 back.
Yeah, but when I used to drive these race cars up and down the tracks, man, I was really in favor of a looser race car. I felt like I had more control over it. I was able to gain more speed out of it too. With a tight race truck, it just always seemed to slow me down. I had to slow down, but with a loose race truck, I know the limits of it. I know how far I can go and how fast I can go with it too.
Well, the saying is, loose is fast. And in the case of Lane, loose was fast at the start of the run, but now he's running through the corners at least 2 miles per hour through the apex slower than Brandon Holder. He's now going to try and have to fight him off and deal with lap traffic of James Torrey, as Holder's going to use him as a pick. Gets to the bottom side. They're side by side as Torrey moves all the way to the top of the racetrack. Side by side again, near contact, as Lane had to really try and move out of the way to James Torrey on the exit.
He did, and he's got that 5 of Brandon Holder fighting him for that second position right there, as Doug Lemon's got about a 1.1 second lead, and he's loving what he's seeing behind him as that 5 of Brandon Holder just barely clears him on the exit of 4.
Barely clears him, gets up to another spot. Paul Bliss can now be used as a pick maybe from Holder again on the exit of turn 2 as they both go to the bottom side. Bliss up high. Bliss will stay on the high side as Lane will have to try and dive it on in. This has allowed Ray to close up a little bit. The gap now between Ray in 4th spot and Kingsbury has grown, though, to about 0.8 of a second between those two drivers as they continue to cycle on through. Doug Lemons, though, he's checked out. Checked out his library book with less than 20 laps to go and trying to run his way home, up by 1.3 seconds.
but can he hold on to it? Now that that 5 of Brandon Holder has cleared that number 24 machine of Everett F. Lane, he's got a clean racetrack in front of him. We know he has a fast race truck, but does he have enough time to catch that 70 machine of Doug Lemons?
And you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen with all this traffic going around the racetrack, as everyone's really spread themselves out a bit. Some of them still having to manage, some of them really just, again, hitting rhythm. But look at what's happening for P number 3. Lane and Ray battling again. Lane up high. Ray dives down low and tries to get the run on the exit and does exactly that. Should be able to outbrake him into turn number 3 and potentially get this job done. As you'll see right here, that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, but he's got to be sure and hold on to that truck and not let it slam into that outside wall. You see him drifting up on the exit of turn 4, and yeah, I guess that answers our questions about earlier about the 24 of Everett F. Lane, just having a lot of short run speed, just not able to maintain that long run speed. So I'm looking at the lap times right here with that 70 of Doug Lemons just ran a 32.334. Brandon Holder running a 32.294. So Brandon Holder is faster, but can he make up the time he needs, down 1.3 seconds behind the leader?
And now 1.4 as they go through turn 3 and 4. We'll see how the lap times shape out here as they head down the front stretch. Lemons 32.334 goes to 32.275. That matches the time to get a Holder and Ray now that Lemons does not have to deal with some of the traffic here. But now as Lane drops back, Kingsbury starts to push on forward. He was the tied for 3rd fastest truck on the racetrack that time by, so he'll make the pass for P4.
And I'm really surprised that he's been able to do that and maintain that truck and maintain that speed with that right side damage he has. So really impressive job by him. Maybe if he can get a caution here, get the field bunched up, he's made back up the track position, he might be a contender for this win. And we've got a one heck of a battle with the 9 of Brad Near, the 24 of Everett F. Lane, and the 32 of Brent Keith.
And Lane's just dropping back, just driving backwards because that battle just disappeared like 1 second within finishing that sentence there as Lane drops all the way back to P8. So he's now officially gone falling off with the short run truck. Lasted about 15 laps for his speed. But here's the luck that they needed for Brandon Holder and Malik Ray. Doug Lemons is now in traffic.
He is, and Brandon Holder's made it all the way up to 1 second behind that number 70 machine of Doug Lemons, and Doug Lemons has a lot of traffic to deal with. He's making him change his lines as he enters turn 3 and 4 on the middle line. Really wants to enter it on the high side. He's just got traffic all around this 1.5 mile oval.
Able to get on through, but lost half a second from dealing with the traffic, and now Brandon Holder, he's closer to less than a second. Ray's falling to 1.8 seconds with his time having to manage some of the traffic, and he still has to reach the back end of them. As now the next driver that Lemons will have to deal with will be Tim Marlowe.
And that 5 of Brandon Holder, seen him do a little shake right there, that rear end of that machine, coming out the exit of turn 1 and 2, trying to get past the lap traffic. He really didn't hit that lap traffic where he needed to hit it. And that 20 of Malik Ray, he's coming as well.
Yeah, Ray's carving his way down the front stretch, was able to only lose about half a tenth with some of the traffic, so he gets on by Gregory Thompson. Doug Lemons is now marred in traffic with John Verga, along with Tim Marlowe on the racetrack up ahead. So they continue to tick on laps. We're coming towards the final stretch here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. Doug Lemons leads over Brandon Holder, Malik Ray in third, followed by Matt Kingsbury and Brad Neal. In what has been an entertaining race, a lot can still happen. 1.1 seconds is the gap now for Doug Lemons, as the traffic could come into play. You never know what's going to happen, though, here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, you're right here.
Oh, and huge shimmy, pardon me, from Doug Lemons. That was a close call there, so this track is really slicking up. Track temps at still 94 degrees.
And they're watching him on the exit of turn 1 and 2 right there. Just shakes it like a Polaroid and almost gets into that lap track of that 28 machine, but he finally gets that under control. Still using that low line on the tri-oval to make up some speed, but Brandon Holder is just inching closer and closer with every lap.
And with every mistake, he'll be able to try and continue to close. Lemons again got a little bit slightly loose on the exit. That bobbed him up the racetrack. But able to gain 2/10 on the entry. But right now, where Holder's the strongest, it seems, is the exit compared to Lemons with how his truck's handling, where Lemons is reaching the traffic.
And it looks like these drivers are just both getting on that lap traffic at the worst possible time. It's either getting on the entry of turn 1 and 2 or the entry of turn 3 and 4, and that's the last place you want to meet traffic at.
And don't forget, Blake Ray's still back there, 1.6 seconds back to the leader. He can still try and see what he can do in the final moments and close this gap up too. He's still about 6-7 truck lengths, back. And Brandon Holder just plowed the wall. Brandon Holder just touched the wall in turn number 4, and he's got damage on the right front.
And I was just about to say that as well, as he just hit that lap traffic at the worst possible time, and he had to take the low line on the entry of that corner, and that just completely messed his exit run up.
AMSOIL instant replay up on your screen as you've seen him plow up the track. Huge now for Holder. And we've seen some drivers not be affected too much by damage, but for Holder at the wrong place, at the wrong time, at the wrong moment, coming to 9 laps to go, now loses what was closing into less than an 0.8 of a second gap, all the way back to a 1.5 seconds, as now Malik Ray will battle for second and try and make the pass work, able to get underneath into the spot where he needs to.
And that was just a factor of just hitting that lap traffic at the worst possible time. And it ended up getting into that outside wall, and that 20 of Malik Ray is going to be able to get past him, get in that second position. But man, can Malik Ray make up the distance on Doug Lemons? It might be just too little too late.
You never know what's going to happen though. Coming now, lap 126. Less than 10 to go here in the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 for the Espeed Contender Series. Doug Lemons still looking for his first win on the season. Could punch his ticket to the chase tonight. Came into 12th in the standings tonight. And now leading by 1.3 seconds.
He is. You still see him carving away through lap traffic. Gonna hit lap number 127. See what his lap times are. He runs a 32.543. Malik Ray wants a 32.453, but he's gonna have to get faster than that if he wants to catch that back end of the 70 machine.
Yeah, he needs to gain some time here. That was about a 9/100th of a second difference. He still has to deal with Damian Plosminger, some lap traffic. He'll go underneath Plosminger and has to be a bit more careful than he probably would like on the exit. Doug Lemons did not gain time though from that. He's getting a little time here and there, but it might not be enough time here. Less than 7 laps to go here at Chicagoland.
And that 70 of Doug Lemons has come back up through the field. Saw him lead early in this race, and then had some technical difficulties that dropped him back in the pack. He's running a very good, consistent race, but if he turns out to win this race, one thing that I think won him it was just a sheer speed on those restarts and the way he was able to dig that truck on the low lines of the corners.
Yeah, it was a strong performance for his team overall with Express Motorsports to be able to start on both on the front row, to be able to have the pace to lead a majority of the laps, both of the teammates for tonight. It was just, I think, potentially a collective effort to make sure they hit the marks tonight that they needed to, especially with Snelson being 21st in the standings and Lemons still needing to try and get a victory.
And right now, the best battle we've got on the track is for that 4th position. The 9 of Brad Neer and the 21 of Matt Kingsbury. Still that number 21 of Matt Kingsbury. We touched on it before, but still been able to do a great job with that right side damage on that machine that he received early in this race. He's been able to maintain his speed, but it's what could have been had he not gotten that damage.
Could have been indeed, as you can see. Battles continue to stretch on out. Less than 3 laps to go here at Chicagoland as everyone tries to get their last couple points, their last couple spots to make sure they get the best results possible. Especially with the playoffs closing on in here in the Espeed Contender Series. Everyone's trucks continuing to pace themselves around from we are past the point of no return here for tonight's action. So whatever happens in terms of if there's a potential caution flag here. 2 laps to go for Doug Lemons.
And he's got that machine on cruise control right now. Malik Ray sitting in second, Brandon Holder in third, Brad Neer in fourth, Matt Kingsbury sitting in fifth, and then Timmy Longwood Jr. and Brad Patterson sixth and seventh.
The gap is about 0.8 of a second as Lemons has been a bit loose on the past couple exits, but I don't know if it's going to be enough right now. Lemons continues to ride in the lead. White flag is up in the air here for the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here in Chicagoland. He'll try and outpace Ray. The gap is still 8.87 heading into turn number 1. Lemons has had one of the fastest trucks all day, set the fastest lap time of the day, and has been up at the front for a majority of the races this season for the Espeed Contender Series. But for today, he'll be able to get into the victory column. Doug Lemons and the number 70 machine will come home here at Chicagoland to win the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200.
Coming in second place is that 20 machine of Malik Ray, followed by the number 5 of Brandon Holder, the number 9 of Brad Neer, and rounding out the top 5 is going to be the 21 of Matt Kingsbury.
One heck of a race and one heck of a drive for a lot of people today, but for Lemons, had to deal with adversity tonight at times, but able to, after having technical issues, overrunning the box that pushed him out of the top 10, he was still able to get up to the front to get himself to victory lane for the first time in 2018.
He was just an awesome drive by that number 70 machine. Had to deal with a little bit of adversity, like you said, but still able to come back through it and grab that checkered flag tonight here at Chicagoland.
And while Lemons does burnouts and Ray wrecks on pit road, let's look at your unofficial results for tonight's action for the Espeed Contender Series. Doug Lemons comes out on top for the first time this season. He's now punched his ticket to the chase, the 7th driver to do so this season. Malik Ray had a fast truck near the end, 7/10 back, but unable to close up the gap, finished second. Brandon Holder, after hitting the wall, dropped to 3rd spot and just held on in front of Brad Neer to finish in the 4th position. Matt Kingsbury in the top 5 after a question of what could have been at times after getting loose up at the front and down the backstretch, able to just save it in the early going. Timothy Longwood Jr. 6th, Brad Patterson 7th, Brent Keefe in the 8th spot, followed by Marshall Berry, who was able to recover after getting into a caution. Everett F. Lane rounds out the top 10. Perry Snelson, the pole sitter today, fell off near the end of the race today to 11th spot. He'll finish in front of Gary Allen Stewart. Scotty Reinshield finished off 13th, while Mike Bruno, after a few first couple cautions, able to recover himself up to P14. Harold Decker, 1 point, was in the top 10, but fell back to 15 to finish off this race. Sean Powell, in 3 different incidents tonight, finished off in 16th, followed by Doc Stout, Tyler Hayes, Ryan Lange, Damian Plosminger in the top 20 as the first driver a lap down. Also 1 lap down was Bobby Everhart, James Hickson, along with Paul Bliss, who Paul Bliss had been up near the front before an incident that one of them involved Sean Powell. 3 laps down was Tim Marlowe, 24th, followed by James Torrey, was able to get back on the track along with John Ferga, 13 laps down apiece. Gregory Thompson, 18 laps down, and the rest of the field, as you can see, 28th, Craig White, Ken Cathers, 29th, 30th for Doyle Warrants, and Keefe Stewart, Timothy McQueen, Abe Bowden round out your top 33 for tonight's action here for the Espeed Contender Series presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. We'll be back in just a moment here on RaceSpotTV. You're watching the Espeed Contender Series.
Team racing allows multiple iRacing members to team up and race together, just like in real-world endurance series. Teammates can share driving duties, spot for one another, or be a crew chief. Team racing is free, both to join a team and to create one. Each teammate races on his or her own computer from wherever they want to. Your teammates can be anywhere in the world, and changing drivers mid-race is as easy as a click of a button. iRacing features team endurance events ranging from just a couple of hours to 24 hours in length. So, if you fancy taking part in an iRacing endurance race in the future, you can learn more about team racing on the teams page on the member website.
Welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV for tonight's coverage of the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. It was a heck of a run tonight for Doug Lemons, coming away with his first victory of the 2018 season here for the Espeed Contender Series. A huge victory for him. Let's bring him along with our sponsor interview for tonight, Keith Stewart, and see how they feel about tonight's action. Joining us in the broadcast booth is Keith Stewart, tonight's sponsor interview for tonight's AMSOIL Chi-Town 200. You have the floor.
Well, Doug, on behalf of AMSOIL and everybody here at Espeed, congratulations. I know it's been a long season for you, but you got one done at Chicago. I've seen you had some good runs there before, so good to see you guys start on the front row and pick off a win, man. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. It's a collaboration, believe me.
Absolutely. Well, I'll turn it back over to you guys. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you very much, Keith. For you, Doug, it's your first win of 2018. How does it feel to finally get into victory lane this season?
Oh, it feels great. I knocked on the door a couple of times. It finally opened for me.
It opened, and it blew confetti up into the air, able to pull weight with the race. But you deal with some adversity at some times tonight. One technical issue, one time overrunning the box along with two other drivers that pushed you to the fringes and just outside of the top 10. How was it for you mentally to try and work your way back up through the field a couple times to get back up to the lead?
Oh man, you know what? I practiced getting into the box all week and did never have a problem. I don't know. I just didn't have my head screwed on straight, but luckily I had a fast enough truck to make it happen. I think I went back to 12 once and just was real patient and picked them off one at a time and made it back up front.
Patience definitely paid off, but as you said, was a collective effort. Your teammate Perry Snelson started on the pole tonight, finished off in 11th. How much work did you both put in to try and make sure you both hit the setup on the right marks for tonight to be able to be up at the front like you both did for a majority of the race?
Well, Perry and I worked a lot together. Also, Brent Keith from GVR, him and I do most of the work together. Perry he takes things and fine tunes them. But yeah, it worked out.
It worked out. But of course, the next race, it's going to be a doozy on August the 8th, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh, I love that place.
I can't tell if that was sarcasm or not.
No, I really like that place.
How much work do you hope to put in there to try and make sure you try and potentially have a repeat performance at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park?
We've been working on the tune already. Yeah, we'll see. There's some fast guys in here, and anytime you can get a top 5 in this with this group, you're doing something.
Absolutely. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you get going here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank AMSOIL for coming aboard. Keith Stewart for doing what he does with the league and the website and everything. He works real hard at it, and I know he's got a job, and it's real tough. I'd like to thank Perry Snelson, my teammate, Brent Keith from GBR, Timothy McQueen for what he does, you guys for what you do. It's just a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun up here, too. Congratulations for the victory tonight, Doug.
All right, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, guys.
Doug Lemons coming away with the victory tonight. Able to come up on top above Malik Ray in this one. Davis, he's standing by with you.
Hey Malik, it's Davis up here as my mic starts to fall away from me. It's Davis up here in the RaceSpotTV booth. Man, you ran a pretty consistent race out there the entire night. We've seen some short stints of speed out of you, but overall still very consistent. How did it feel out there in the truck tonight?
I was a lot slower than everybody else on the straights. I got walled lap 4 off of turn 2 or something. I was trying to go 3 wide, and the guy I guess he didn't see me or something. But after that, I was really slow on the straights, so I was having to kind of drive pretty hard to stay ahead of people because they'd be 4 miles an hour faster at the end of the straightaways than me. But other than that, the truck actually handled fine. It wasn't that bad at all. I just ran out of time to get to what's his name? Doug at the end.
Yeah, but still nonetheless, coming away with the second place finish, running 4 miles an hour slower than everyone else, and you must really have that thing tuned up. So you said it was the first part of the race you got that damage. When you do that, what kind of changes do you make in the truck or on pit road? Or can you do anything to make it faster or make up for that loss of speed other than just drive the wheels off of it?
Not really. You can kind of make it more towards the loose side. I was trying to make adjustments every time I went down pit road to make it a little bit, for freer, so it wasn't that tight under people. But as far as the straight line speed, nah, you kind of just have to just deal with it and just man up, I guess.
Well, we know you got the oval speed, but you got anything for them boys out at Canadian Motorsports Park next weekend?
Hopefully so. I'm not that bad on when you have to turn right, so hopefully we'll be able to bring something just as fast there too.
Well, before I let you go, you got anyone else you want to thank out there?
Just JD Laird at JDR Graphics because he makes all my cars and stuff. And Kick-Ass Beef Jerky, they just recently hopped on board for the remainder of the season. Be sure to use the promotional code IRACE10 for 10% off on your next order. And you guys for broadcasting, I appreciate it.
Well, you heard that. You heard the man get 10% off of some kick-ass beef jerky. But hey, Malik, thanks for coming up in here with us. Congratulations again on your second place finish, and we'll see you out there next week.
Yep, see you guys.
A lot of happy words there from Malik Ray. Brandon Holder came away third, meanwhile. Remember, Brandon Holder started off this race tonight in P number 21, worked himself up to P number 3 for tonight. Brandon, how are you feeling, and how much effort was it to try and get yourself to the position you were, as high as up towards the lead at some points tonight?
We had a good set, so I mean it was fun getting up through there.
Sound a little bit disappointed. Talk us what happened in those final laps there as you ended up hitting the wall on the exit of turn number 4 that as you were trying to close on in on lemons. What happened with that?
I was just going for it and got drove a little bit too hard and got loose out of 3 and hit the wall.
Just bad luck at the wrong time, unfortunately. But I do want to ask you this as well with this. Your team ended up just forming an alliance in this most recent week, America Motorsports with Intensity Motorsports. Talk us through how the partnership has worked out so far to try and work on the best setups possible coming towards the playoffs.
Oh, I think it's worked great. Last week should have won the race and had some, unforeseen circumstances in front of me, but the sets are going to be good. We all work good together, and I think we'll move on and do real good.
We'll see for sure. And all you guys are going to be, of course, having to work hard for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. What do you guys plan to do there? And, of course, try and win, but I mean, like, preparation-wise to make sure you're all on the same page.
I'm going to have to turn a bunch of laps there. I've never been on the track, so I have no clue about the track, anything about it. So we'll work hard this week and see where we can get. I know Brad and Key's pretty good there, so we've got a shoulder to lean on to get us some information and see what we can come up with.
We'll see what you can come up with. Is there anyone you want to thank for the top 3 tonight?
Yeah, thanks Steve Brothers Trucking, pitboxes.com, sim racing apps, Intensity Motorsports, and all the guys on the team, Sean, Timmy, and Marshall.
Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the 3rd place tonight, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
That's Brandon Holder coming away 3rd place tonight. Brad Neer, also a part of that partnership, finished off in P number 4 tonight, Davis.
Hey, Brad, it's Davis up here in the RaceSpotTV booth, and congratulations on that 4th place finish. Really consistent night you had on that machine. I've seen you battling up there with the front all night. How were the track conditions out there tonight?
Oh, the track conditions were pretty good. It seemed to get a little bit slick, on the long run, but this set was by far probably the best long run set I've ever driven at 1.5 miles.
Yeah, and we've seen you battling up there with the lead too. What do you think you could have done different, or maybe had in your setup to just gain that extra 10th or so of a second to steal that checkered flag away?
I think I drove a little bit too hard early, and that's where, Doug and Brandon are so good at pacing themselves early on new tires to save their stuff for late in the run, and I just burned my stuff up just a little too much.
But with a top 5 finish like this, what does this do to the momentum as we go into the last 5 races of the season?
Oh, it's huge momentum, for the chase and to get some things dialed in on our sets, and this alliance with America Motorsports, I think, in the coming weeks will really help both teams as we move forward in the chase. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I was watching you too, especially with that long and last green flag run we had out there tonight. And it looks like you were battling that 21 of Matt Kingsbury for about the last 30 laps out there. Then you finally got around him. How fun was it going back and forth with that 21 machine?
Oh, that was that was nerve-wracking. I was better, out of the corner, and he was better into the corner, and then, once I got around him, he gave me a little shot, and I knew if I could, just get a little bit of a gap, I'd be all right. But he was really good getting in the corner.
Yeah, he was. I've seen you make that pass on lap 129 and able to fend him off to the checkered flag. But it's always fun seeing those close and tight battles, but most importantly, those clean battles as well. No harms, no fouls. But congratulations again on your top 5 finish. How good are you making those right-hand turns as we head to Canadian Motorsports Park next week?
I really like Canadian Tire. It's one of my favorite road courses to run on. So hopefully we'll have something for him next week.
We'll be rooting for you. And yeah, it sounds like a lot of the drivers here really got a knack for those right-handed corners. I've never been too good at it, but it sounds like a lot of drivers are excited for it. But before I let you go, you got anyone out there you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank LSR-TV, Mark at HPP Pedals, Racing Line, and Devour Foods, and of course America Motorsports, and my teammate Keith Stewart.
Well, congratulations again, and we'll see you out there next week.
All right, thank you guys for putting on such a good broadcast. We'll see you in Canada.
We'll see if you find me on the streets in Canada as well, Brad. Thank you very much. That leaves our final interview for tonight. The driver who finished off in 5th spot for tonight, Matt Kingsbury, joins us here in the broadcast booth. Started off ninth, ended up finishing off in the top 5. Matt, how are you feeling?
Felt like we did a solid race. Could have done a better job. Keeping it alive, obviously. We hit the wall early. We killed the speed in the truck, so winning.
What kind of adjustments did you have to make after smacking that wall and just being able to save it while in the grass down the backstretch? What kind of adjustments did you have to make to try and counter that loss to speed?
There's really nothing you can do. You can't get straight line speed back, so it was turning fine. It was just the right front fender was smashed in.
Yeah, we could see the damage from up here as well with that right front after the contact there, but you were battling a lot of times in this. How did you feel about your setup with the track conditions tonight, especially with it going from 88 degrees before the green flag to 94 by about lap 15-ish?
Oh, I didn't realize it raised that much. That's insane. But yeah, we were a little loose at the end of the run, the very end, but we were pretty fast, I thought. I don't know how we stacked up against Doug. He was pretty quick. I know our truck was quick, but it's hard to say with the damage because I was down about 2 miles per hour.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one for sure. But of course, next race, we go left and right in Canada, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Last time the series was on a road course for the Espeed Contender Series, it was a wild one. How do you feel about you and your teammates for the upcoming race there at a track known for exciting racing, to say the least, with trucks?
It's one of my favorite tracks on the schedule. One of my favorite road courses for sure. Feel pretty good about it. I think if I don't leave with the checker flag, we'll be fighting for it. So
we'll see if that ends up being the case. Is there anyone you want to thank before you let you get going here tonight?
Yeah, just the guy that gave us a hand at the set. He returned a favor from us from a while back, and we appreciate it. We had something decent, but what he had was just out of this world.
If you don't mind me asking, who was the person who made the set?
I can't say that.
Okay. With that, secrets reign secrets. Matt Kingsbury finishing off in the top 5 tonight. And with that, it's your final thoughts here, Davis, of what was an exciting race for much of the night tonight, heading into Canadian Tire Motorsports Park next week.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to watch these boys make those right-handed corners. Really interesting. It's going to be a different style of racing we're going to see, but it's still going to be close and action-filled. And, hey, I'm excited to get back in the booth Wednesday, Justin.
Can't wait to see what happens as well, especially with the history at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, with especially trucks for stock car trucks, I should really say. But for everyone, it's time to say goodbye here from Chicagoland Speedway with the AMSOIL Chi-Town 200 here on RaceSpotTV. You've been watching the Espeed Contender Series for tonight's action presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. We'd like to thank everyone a part of our sponsorships for tonight, as you see up on your screen now. As well, I'd like to thank Randy Chinnis for doing the producing for tonight's action, along with my partner Davis Richards for tonight's action. Doug Lemons comes away with the first victory of his 2018 season and looks to carry that momentum as he's locked into the chase. With that, it's time to say goodnight. Enjoy your Wednesday night, everybody, from across this beautiful globe.